Good evening, and hello for those who are watching me on YouTube and Facebook. Um, my name is Theresa White, and I am the CEO and therapist of In Time Creative Counseling Services. I'm here in Terre Haute. Um, I do want to say before I forget, I want to get this, make sure that I say this. I want to say thank you for um, Lady Evangelist Norma Alford for having me in Hammond to let me speak this weekend on overcoming mental struggles for her women's conference. And I enjoyed the women's conference and I enjoyed the interaction that I got from the ladies. So know that women, we have struggles. So, as people probably would already know that. So, before we get into today's topic of destructive behaviors, as I said last week that we were going to be talking about this, I want to let you know that I am doing these topics for the next few weeks in honor of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. It is, um, let me go so I can actually be looking at you. It is October. And so that means it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And so um, that's really interesting. So anyway, I was saying it's interesting because I just saw a pop up on YouTube that said 12 signs of a toxic relationship. Literally, as I just said that, and I've been talking about it. So, this month on October 19th, on a Saturday at 10 o'clock, I will be having a seminar here in Terre Haute called Destructive Behaviors and Toxic Relationships. And so, for those who would like to come and attend that seminar and learn what some of those things are, and I will tell you that it's not always what we consider domestic violence or physical violence. Destructive behaviors show up in different forms, which we'll get into one of those forms tonight. So, if you want to attend that, destructive behaviors in toxic relationships, you can go to our PayPal and register. It's $25 for general registration. If you're wanting, oop, my phone fell. Sorry. um, if you're wanting, general registration is 25. If you're wanting CEUs or what we call continuing education credit, then you would have to pay a little bit extra, but it'd be $40 for those. And I am a licensed mental health counselor, national certified counselor, registered drama therapist, addiction counselor. So I'll be able to sign off on some of your CEUs. All right. So if you want more information about that, you can send me a message privately. You can call our office 812-382-5512, um, or you can go on PayPal, me.com backslash in time CCS and register for our seminar. So, and I will be throwing little tidbits in there about our seminar because we had a really, really good one in May when we did one suffering in silence. And I had Pastor Joby Sanders come and do a spiel also on leadership, as she's a pastor at Terre Haute Church of God. Um, and so, anyway, it was really good. And I'm looking forward to October 19th when we do one about these destructive behaviors. So just to kind of give you a little bit tonight, when we think of destruction, we typically think of somebody literally tearing something up, destroying it. It cannot be put back together. You see fire, a big bulldozer, etc. So we're going to talk about those behaviors that can tear up relationships. And that most important one that you have is yourself. So wave at me, say hello, let me know you're here. Um, Comment questions, feel free to ask them. I have no problem answering questions on the live. So if you have any questions about destructive behaviors, feel free to ask those. Sometimes they are delayed. So if I'm not trying to get off here and not answer questions, if I don't see them, I will try to go back and answer them. So, um, so I want to talk about a couple of things that um, we would consider a destructive behavior. So the statement of "is it me?" comes from the fact that I have learned, and again, as I talk about myself being transparent, I have learned that a lot of my relationships in the past, I was doing some very destructive things and didn't realize that I was doing them. Um, and so we're going to talk about what some of those things can look like, um, in yourself and in other relationships. So I want to ask a question just starting off. I want you to think of someone, um, that you've had interactions with in the past or recently, in your life, that you would consider either toxic or destructive. And so just want to, and typically we have somebody like immediately pop up in our mind. We know who we're thinking of. We know that person. We know what they were doing that made us feel that way. Um, so I want to talk a little bit about that. So sometimes when we look at relationships, we think, okay, well, I know somebody. Like I got a couple of people in mind. I know a few people, that I would consider destructive, or that I would consider having, or being toxic, right? And you hear that a lot now, when it comes to, just mental health awareness, and we talked about that last month with it being, suicide and also self care awareness month in September. This week is also mental illness awareness month. So know that some of the destructive behaviors and toxic relationships or toxic behaviors that you may see can be, a sign of mental illness. So we'll get into that in a moment. So I want to share a couple of things. I want to make sure I didn't forget. Oh, I also want to say that, if you want to sign up for the seminar, I also have a Cash App, which is a little cash sign, in time, INTIMECCS. Same as my website. So those are the two ways that you can register for the conference or for the seminar. Sorry, for the seminar. So I want to talk about a few, and I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget them because there's so many different ones I could hit on. I just want to hit on, one or two tonight. Have you ever known someone, that you do something, um, or they do something? I have a spat, I argue, um, and you feel really bad about, like, oh man, that was messed up how we had this argument, etc. And you are really hurt about it. You really broke up. Not I mean you broke up as in relationship wise. I mean you feel bad about what's happening, and you think, I need to rectify this. I need to go talk to that person. I need to let them know I apologize. And that person comes to you, um, the next day, the next week, um, depending on how they kind of process their hurt, or their frustration, the next month, and talk to you as if nothing has happened. And I know you're thinking about some time that that's happened and some people that that's happened with, because it's very, it happens, right? You are thinking of, like, yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that you can relate to, that example, but that happens. And sometimes you walk away, like, and you scratch your head, like, so you're not mad no more? And you want to go and be like, oh, I'm so sorry about, what I said. I was really angry, or whatever that transpired. Oh, don't worry about it. Okay. Uh, now, it was a big deal because it bothered you for days or hours or however long it bothered you. But this person, or this interaction, they move on as if there has never been a breach in the relationship at all. Never been a concern. Oh, it's not a big deal. Well, when y'all was arguing and when there was a conflict, it was a huge deal, right? Um, that's an example of a destructive behavior. And I will tell you why that's destructive. It's destructive to act like there's not a problem. Knowing that you're hurt, knowing that you've been bothered. Clearly, if we needed to get some space, we needed to separate, we needed to not, talk for a little bit, then there clearly must be an issue. Um, and so, and that's not saying that there's anything wrong. You may definitely need to take some space. Nothing's wrong with that. But when you come back together, thank you, Jerry, for the Cash App. My husband has put the Cash App, my Cash App and my website in the comments. for those who would like to see those. So you come back and that is destructive because you come back like, I was concerned that we weren't even friends, or you weren't gonna ever talk to me again, or maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe it was not that bad of a relationship or argument, but it was clearly an issue because it was upsetting to you. But the other party has come as if it was never an issue. We've never had any words. We just gonna move on as if that that did not even transpire. Or they come not just acknowledging it, or ignoring it or not acknowledging it, which is really destructive because what it does is it stuff those emotions. So we talked a little bit about that in grief when we don't deal with things, and how it just stuffs. Our emotions are not made to be stuffed, they're made to be processed and released. So when we stuff them, then it breeds for more, puts a seed in us to continue to have more destructive responses. And so sometimes that other party may be telling themselves, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. They could be, again, that self-talk that we discussed in some of our previous lives. Self-talk can be very destructive. And so, but again, that's another one. I won't get into that one just for right now. But you have to watch that when it comes to a conflict or an argument or an interaction that you may have with somebody. Just because you don't agree, that's actually a healthy interaction between a relationship. Whether you're friends, it's your cousin, it's your mama, dad, whoever. And disagreement can be actually very healthy because it shows that you two are very passionate about something. You have a thought and opinion about something, and you're willing to come together to discuss it. Now we can agree to disagree and move on. But when we come back, like that keeps happening, and every time you come back, the person acts like there's nothing going on, then you start to question the validity of your own feelings. Maybe I'm crazy, right? So maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe it's not a big deal, and you start to devalue your own emotions and how important this relationship is to you. And what I mean by that is, if it's not important enough where we have hurt or where we may be bothered with something that the other person does, it's kind of like, well, then if it don't matter to you, it don't matter to me. And so then we start getting it, that other person can start getting an indifferent attitude or reaction because one person has it. And so that destructive behavior, we call it stuffing, but it's also the one that like you'll come and say, I'm sorry, and they, no, don't worry about it. And you're thinking, well, okay, well, I wasn't the only one that did some stuff. I wasn't the only one that was saying some things that was hurtful. And I'm coming to apologize. Then, so what if you have that person? This is number two, kind of trailing into that first one. What if hey cousin, I see you, hey cousin. What if you have that person that you will come and you really sincere, I'm so sorry that I said this, done this, I hurt your feelings, whatever may have happened. And they, okay, accept your apology. And not that it's always right, but sometimes you're waiting for an apology as well. Well, I'm also sorry for A, B, and C. But that person does not give you an apology. They say okay to your apology and say nothing else. And you think, okay, again, am I crazy? Because I really could have understood. Hi, Dorothy. I could have really went back and thought, if I replay the memory right, I could have swore it was both of us who was arguing, or both of us who had this conflict or interaction. Why am I the only one apologizing? Right? And so it begins to, again, it's destructive because it's breaking down a relationship, because I begin to devalue or feel devalued that I can give you an apology, but you don't give me one. And I ain't saying every time. One time, okay, maybe you just didn't feel like you did anything wrong. But when it's a constant, every time I come to you, I'm apologizing, and you ain't never doing nothing wrong. You never apologize back. And I know, so I've talked to some people who have family members, again, who feel like I can go to this person, go to my sister, my brother, my mom, my daddy, my grandma, my grandfather, whoever, and apologize, and it's like they didn't do anything. They and sometimes this person don't apologize in words. They will come with a gift, but never the words. And you don't. This is a nice, wonderful necklace. Thank you so much. And it could be a spouse. Thank you so much. You bought me this gift. But that doesn't weigh as much as a sincere apology. And some of us, and I have been there, where I've had to surrender a lot of that hurt to the Lord because I was waiting, just kind of sitting around like I'm one day I'm hoping to get an apology. You will be waiting. And then it will begin to destroy other interactions or other relationships that you have with other people. So be careful or kind of be mindful of those people who will kind of brush over conflicts like it ain't never happened. And it's they won't even address it. Well, I want to talk about what happened last. Don't worry. Okay, well, you may think don't worry about it, but I want to deal with it. I want to talk. No, I don't want to talk about it. And then, or they will get mad and shut you down. I don't want to talk about it. Nope. And you like, this is a two-way relationship. Your feelings matter and my feelings matter. But sometimes, and I'm not, and it may be not the other person. It may be you. You may be the one that's shutting down. So what the question is it me? Maybe it's you that's like, nope, it's not a big deal. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna just buy them a gift. I'm gonna just take them out to dinner. That's my apology. That's destructive. And even though sometimes we could have been modeled that in our families, in our culture, with our loved ones, um, when we know better, we can do better. So I want you to understand that that's destructive. Because again, when we talk about the value of a relationship, value doesn't come in your gifts. The value is to know that you care about me, I care about you. I'm considerate of your feelings, you're considerate of mine, I'm considerate of your thoughts. Excuse me, you're considerate of mine. So, so with that, if we both are mutually considering each other, then I should say, you know what, I hurt your feelings and I apologize. And it should be mutual. Yeah, I hurt your feelings and I apologize. And then we can move forward. But the stop happens when one says, I'm sorry, or one is apologizing, trying to rectify, or even come to you and tell you, this hurt me. I had a situation, and I this is kind of going into that people who don't want to apologize. When you can never say I'm sorry, that's destructive. Um, and it's going to tear up every interaction that you really care about with people. Because when you can't admit you're wrong, it's really what it comes down to. It's a pride issue. I can't admit I'm wrong and be humble enough to say I hurt you. I did something wrong. I'm sorry. No, I didn't do nothing. I'm all right. Okay. So then that person begins to put a block up, and they say, okay, you didn't do nothing wrong. So then they begin to shield their heart. Their emotions, their interactions with you become very superficial because you have shown them that giving you a deeper portion of themselves is not going to be valued. So they will stop. All right, well, I'm not going to give you nothing else. And so then your interaction can become destructive because then you may trickle that to other relationships. Well, but I'm not going to give nobody nothing. Nope, because this interaction gave me this experience. So now I'm going to keep this block here. So anyway, so be careful of those um, behaviors. If you notice that in yourself, um, surrender that. Be able to apologize. Check on what is the issue with you admitting that you're wrong. For again, going into the not being able to apologize. Sometimes when you bring up an issue or a concern to someone, um, another way of not being able to apologize is that they will flip it. You come in to bring up a concern. You stepped on my toe. I always use that, but say you pulled my hair, and I was really upset about that. Um, and then they would flip it to how stressful of a day they had, and you complaining about your hair, like they did. I mean, I didn't do it on purpose. Um, so does that make my feelings invalid? No. It doesn't make it invalid because you didn't do it on purpose. And you getting defensive doesn't help the emotion that I'm feeling when I'm telling you that you hurt me in some way. Acknowledge that you hurt me, because the healthy thing and helpful thing to do to I guess to build it back up, not make it destructive, is to acknowledge I did hurt you. And even if you didn't know, because I've been there too, I haven't known that I've hurt people. I apologize. I didn't know I hurt you. I didn't know that that really affected you that way. So I apologize for hurting you, for making you feel A, B, and C, for you believing that I didn't care, whatever, right? Whatever that the issue may be, but you can own the responsibility of your portion in it. Not saying that you can just constantly say a thing is your fault, but if something that you've done has directly affected somebody, take the responsibility for that. You not showing up when you were supposed to, you were late, I missed my game. I mean, well, I had to work like, okay. And and for those of us who are parents, I'm guilty where your child can have a feeling about something, but you are so focused on all the things that you do that you're throwing what you do in their face and not really hearing what they're saying about how they feel. And that's destructive because you're invalidating their feelings. And what you're really communicating to them is that your feelings are not valid to me. Only what I do for you is valid. If I buy you, if I buy you something, if I'm going to work for you, that's valid. If I'm doing all this stuff for you. Don't you come to me talking about what I ain't doing. Um, I'm just trying to let you know that I really was looking forward to us going to get some ice cream today. And when you were late and didn't come home, I was like, that's messed up. I mean, I can't do everything. Again, just own that. I apologize. I was late. I should have called you. I should have whatever that to own that and take the responsibility, validate their feelings, let them know you care about them as a person, and move on from the conflict. A lot of times we are destructive in our behaviors because we don't want to admit we're wrong. And then the issue is not only did that person not move on, we don't move on. We are constantly in defense mode because we cannot humble ourselves enough to say, I'm sorry. I should not have done that. I should not have said that. I should have been there, should not have been there, whatever that may have been. So, again, I didn't want tonight's to be long, but that's just one thing that I want you to realize, that somebody not apologizing, not admitting that you're wrong is destructive. It's a very destructive behavior. And I believe that there's been times that I have been like kicking and screaming with God. I'm not apologizing. I'm tired of being the one apologizing. Sometimes overly apologizing can also be a destructive behavior, um, which is, opposite of never apologizing, never admitting you're wrong, admitting everything is your fault. Because then people will expect you to do that. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, your shoe got messed up. Oh, I'm sorry. Then your sorries become invalid. Because I don't know if you're just saying sorry because it's out of habit or you're actually apologizing for something. Is your sorry real, or you just saying it because you think that's what I want to hear? So overly apologizing can also be destructive. And sometimes we look at, destructive behaviors and toxic relationships as the extreme of physical abuse, but there's so much mental and emotional abuse going on. And sometimes we don't even realize that we're doing it. Again, and I'm not saying people are abusive on purpose. We're not realizing that we're hurting people and that we're abusing our interactions with our relationships with people, our bonds with people. We're abusing the fact that that person is going to just keep on being there for us. And even though we didn't apologize, well, they know I don't apologize. They know that's not me, right? I'm not. Shh. I ain't apologized before. I ain't gonna do it now. Okay. Well, when you own the loan, and I know that sounds harsh, but it's the truth. Nobody wants to be around people where they don't feel validated about that person. If I come around you, and every time I come around you, I feel like I don't matter. It's all about you, and if anything else is slightly about anybody else, you have a problem. But I won't get it. That's a different destructive behavior for a different night. But so anyway, so If there's any questions, please feel free to ask those tonight. I'm gonna be on for a couple of more minutes. If I don't see any questions, then I'm gonna go ahead and end. But I just want to review that again. That on October 19th, I will be doing a seminar, a 3 hour seminar from 10 to 1 o'clock. There will be continental breakfast starting at 9:30. And registration will also be at 9:30. It's going to be here in Terre Haute. Location will be at Saints Home Church. So October 19th, cost is $25 for general admission. And I don't know any conference you can go to for $25. Um, and not for the content that I'm going to give you. But I'm going to also tell you some other destructive things that you may notice in relationships, but also what to do, how to heal from those, and how to help somebody else get the help that they need, right? So you can get that if you want CEUs, as I said before, continuing education credit. Um, then you can. It'll be a $40 charge for the CEUs, and I will um, give you a certificate and etc. For all of those. So that is October 19th. If you want to register for that, you can go to my Cash App, which is the little cash sign, INTIMECCS. It's in the comments as well as my website. And also I have a PayPal, paypal.me/InTimeCCS. So same words, whether you use Cash App or PayPal. You can register to come to the seminar October 19th. If you can't come, please sponsor someone else, because there are a lot of people that I know want to be there, but are financially not able to pay for the seminar. So if you are able to financially pay and may not be able to be there, please get with me on how to sponsor someone. I would love for you to sponsor someone to come to the seminar. I see a question. Oh, I would like to see you too, Sister Barnes. So Dorothy is asking, how can you correct those destructive behaviors? You first have to recognize them. So if you are recognizing, if usually, and I went to a seminar last night about emotional wellness or healing from Pastor Jovi, and one of the things that she said is, if one person is telling you that you're acting crazy, it may just be their opinion. But if it's two people, then you probably are acting crazy. And I've heard that before, that if you keep saying everybody is saying, then maybe it's not everybody. Maybe it really is you. And so recognizing that I'm not apologizing, recognizing that I'm not admitting when I'm wrong, and then go back and actually act. If you don't know what you did wrong, and say, I'm having a hard time admitting that I'm wrong or acknowledging what that is, go to that person and say, can you tell me exactly what I did wrong and what hurt you? And actually listen to what they say. It may be uncomfortable, but sit in it. Sit in that uncomfortable feeling, because that person that you hurt had to sit in that uncomfortable feeling for however long they were hurt. So, then if they say you pulled my hair and, now I got a bruise on the side of my head, then say, I apologize for hurting you by pulling your hair and leaving a bruise on the side of your head. Literally, you can just, not saying verbatim like you're trying to be mocking them or being funny, but if sometimes you don't know the words to say, use the words they use, because they're telling you exactly what has hurt them or what you've done. So you can just, I apologize for, and then read what they say you done. And then ask the question at the end, will you forgive me? They can say yes or no, but your apology is still there. I'm so sorry. You're very important to me. I didn't mean to hurt you that way. And you can express and say all those other things as well. But being very straightforward, I apologize. Will you forgive me? Um, be careful to not scale over apologies and belittle them. And what I mean by that as well, I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Okay, no, no. I had again, doing that, um, of being evasive to the emotion, not really accepting that person has been hurt. So again, using those words that they've used, acknowledging that, and then admitting that you that you've been hurt. If you're somebody that overly apologizes, a way to correct that is to recognize, go back and say, why am I constantly saying I'm sorry? For what? I ask some of the people that I work with, they were like, oh, I'm sorry. And I say, what are you sorry for? And then she get back and they like, and they have to think about it because they're so busy apologizing for all these things, everything. They have no idea what they're apologizing for anymore. Or they feel like everything that I do is bad. So I apologize for everything. I have a 7-year old who tells me I'm always doing something wrong. So I'm just sorry for everything. And I was like, who told you that? Literally, I had to ask her, who told you that? Oh my God, do not tell your children they do everything wrong. That's destructive. Be careful what you say to your children because clearly it carries, right? So anyway, I get off my soapbox. Yeah, I know I get on them sometimes. And forgiveness is key. Again, the person may not forgive you. That's not your responsibilities are to make them forgive you. Your responsibility is to ask for it. All you can do is ask for it, and the rest is up to them. They don't forgive you. They don't forgive you. Um, but if they come into you to say this is what you've done to hurt me, that usually is because they're trying to rectify the situation or to work on the conflict. I'm not going to come to somebody to say you did A, B, and C to me, usually, um, just to walk away and say I don't, and I'm not going to forgive you for it because that's destructive. That's another destructive behavior again that we'll get into another time. There's so many, y'all. There's so many things that we don't even realize that we do in our relationships with our loved ones. Anyway, I'm not going to. I know it's already 8:35, so I'm going to go ahead and relinquish you for the evening. Thank you so much for joining me for this Can We Talk Live. Is it me? So take that inventory and find out, is it you? If you feel like you need more information, then come to the seminar. So we're going to be talking about what these are, what they look like, and how they come out in our relationships. Because sometimes what we hear in classes, for those of us who have been through psychology, don't sound like our relationships. You think, oh, I don't do that. Well, let me break it down to our culture and our relationships and what it really looks like. Because sometimes we don't realize that it's destructive. And I went through some years of being broken through people's words because they were telling me how I hurt them. And I was so like, no, I was so blocked that I couldn't take in the hurt. Or I was so hurt that I couldn't take in any more uncomfortable feelings. So I was blocking every time somebody said I hurt them. And I really had to go to God and allow him to heal my hurt. And so now I'm like, I can hear that. It may be uncomfortable, but I can hear it. I'm sorry that I did that and I didn't mean to do that. Or even if I was angry and I did mean to do it, I apologize. And then I can, hopefully you forgive me and I can move on. I've come to the resolve that I'm going to hurt people sometimes. Everything I do, people are not going to like. And so that's something that you have to also come to resolve. That there's going to be some actions that you do that's going to be hurtful. It's going to be some words you say that's going to be painful. Um, but again, ask for forgiveness, reconcile, as the Bible says, reconcile that person, bring them back. Don't just leave them out there broken when you know you've hurt somebody. And there's a scripture in Matthew, I believe it's in the 5th chapter, where the Lord says, um, that if you are praying and you, Father, I want you to do it for me right now. Excuse me, Theresa, need you to, there's so and so that's still angry with you, so and so that says that you've hurt. And he'll bring that stuff back up to you while you're trying to pray for all this wonderfully big stuff. And that's that cue that he's saying, leave your prayer right there. I heard you. But I'm concerned about that connection that's been broken, that relationship, because he's concerned about the healing of our hearts. And he knows that we can't really go as far as we want to go in life when we have all of this baggage hanging on us from people that have hurt us and that we've hurt. We have to be released ourselves. Um, and even if that person is deceased, release yourself. Ask God to heal you. And if they're alive, then go see if you can get with them and ask them to forgive you. I've learned that it's never too late um, to say thank you. And in most cases, it's never too late to apologize. And I say that even though it could have been 20 years ago. It was 20 years ago you left. You know how people are still waiting for you to acknowledge that you hurt them and then maybe in 20 years ago? So it's not too late for you to acknowledge and say, I did A, B, and C. And I realized it took me 20 years to realize how bad I hurt you. And again, come sincere. And again, it's up to that person whether they want to forgive you. But then that's how you leave it. I don't see any other questions. And I agree, Sister Doris. Asking for forgiveness will help. Um, if you don't get the forgiveness, the healing still can come for you. But because you acknowledged it, you released it. They have to release it, but you released yours. But if you try to hold on to it, act like you didn't do anything about it or do anything to that individual or in that situation, then you will do more damage. And of course, those kind of things, as we talked about in the past, come up in our physical health. Start getting diseases. But again, I'm going to stop there. So thank you so much again for watching tonight. Next Monday, we will continue our discussion as we talk about other destructive behaviors, um, and finding out what to do when they're sometimes sitting right in your house. Have a great night. Good evening, and hello for those who are watching me.